Hi, I'm Frank Persico, and today I'm going to go over 5 things that I think will help you improve your tone on the acoustic guitar. And of course, it'll work on the electric guitar as well. So, before I get started with my 5 tips, I want to get into a little story. It's a little story time. So, it goes back a long time ago. I remember when I was about 19 and I'd been playing guitar for a while and I was starting to feel like I knew what I was doing. I would play, and if I played at a party, people would start paying attention, and I was like, all right, I got this, Thought I had it all figured out. And I was playing this cheap Fender acoustic at the time. That's all I had. And, there was things that I didn't like about the sound, so I thought it was time for me to go out and get a good acoustic guitar that would fix my tone and get me up to a higher level. So I had saved around $1,500, and my mom had given me some to help out with the rest. So at that time, $1,500 could pretty much get you, a Martin D28 or D18, or you could pretty much get, you can get a high-end guitar for that amount of money. So we'll go out to the music store, and I start pulling these guitars off the rack, off the wall, and playing them, and man, they sounded a hell of a lot better than what I was playing, and I was like, this is it. I was in my glory. This is gonna be the answer to my prayers. And suddenly, like out of nowhere, I hear this guitar, this person playing the guitar, and it's just like in the other side of the room, and it's just, when the person comes into the music store and plays, and just everybody goes like, what the hell's that, It sounded so good. It sounded full, and the notes were big, and the guitar just filled up the whole space. So, of course, my first reaction is, well, what is this? What guitar is this? Whatever guitar this is the guitar I have to buy. So I wander over, not to be too conspicuous, and look over, and the guy's probably in his 40s, which to me at the time seemed old. And I'm trying to see what he's playing, and it can't be. The guy's playing the same cheap Fender guitar that I had been going to the music store to upgrade from. Blew my mind. Figured to myself, this has got to be some kind of freak guitar, like some special one-off, just like a unicorn guitar. It came out of the factory. Somebody sprinkled fairy dust on it, So I wait for the guy to leave, and he puts the guitar down and he walks away. So I can't wait to get my hands on this guitar and pick it up, see what it's all about. Picked it up, and I sounded just like myself. It sounded just like the Fender guitar I had back at home. In his hands, it sounded like a cannon. It sounded like, the heavens opening up. In my hands, it sounded like the same Fender guitar that I'd been playing. Now, we all know as guitar players, the sound is in your hands. It's in your ears. It's in between your ears, not the instrument. And yes, each instrument has its own voice that can help you sound better. And you are always working within the boundaries of an instrument. But I can only imagine what that guy would have sounded like on one of the Martins I was playing. The lesson here is there's no escape from how we affect the tone that comes out of the instrument. And I realized at that moment that there was way more to the picture. It was humbling and frustrating, and I knew I had a long way to go. And you know what? There'll always be things to improve. So let me get to it. The 5 things that I think could help you improve. There's more, but I think these 5, if you focus on these, your tone will be getting to a better place. Here we go. Number 1. This may seem really obvious. Make sure your guitar is in tune. We're going to go through each string and make sure each string is in tune when it's open, right? Of course. We've been doing that since day 1. But here's the thing. Just because you tune the strings open to be in tune doesn't mean that each chord will be in tune, depending on your guitar. If there's any intonation issues on your guitar, especially in the first position, let's say you have an issue with the nut, where the angle coming off the nut isn't right, you may have intonation issues in your first position. So just because you tuned your guitar and all the open strings are in tune doesn't necessarily mean when you fret a chord it will be in tune. So play a few chords in the key that you're going to be playing in. And just make sure, let's say for example, we're playing a song in G and my open E string is in tune and I press down on G and the G, well, what do you know, the G is sharp. Well, I might want to just actually take my low E string and tune it just a little bit flat to compensate for that. Or maybe when I play my A note on the G string, it may be a little sharp. That tends to sometimes happen. Well, don't be afraid to tune the pitch of the open string just slightly flat. Almost so that you don't even see it on the tuner as showing up as flat. You can even sometimes pull on the string just to get it to come just a little bit flat so that the chords in the key that you're playing in, the fundamental chords, especially the 1, 4, and 5, are in tune. And if there are any issues, you compensate for that. Because a guitar is not a perfect instrument. This guitar is sounding okay right now. And of course, if you were to capo the guitar, then you want to make sure when you go into that capo position, you won't have to retune the guitar to that position. I'm going to give you an example. Okay, so we have our guitar in tune. Open strings are in tune. Let's say I want to capo now the 3rd fret. Well, this guitar happens to sound okay, but I want to go through each string and make sure, this is now going to be a G, right? That I am in tune with the capo. And if any particular note of a chord that I'm going to be playing going to sound weird, then I have to adjust the tuning slightly so that the main chords in the fundamental key that I'm going to be playing in sound in tune, because a guitar is not a perfect instrument. Number 2, and this is kind of related to number 1, is don't have dead strings. You don't have to have sparkling brand new strings, but dead strings will not produce the full array of overtones that helps our ear average out that pitch and make it seem in tune. When you have dead strings, you're only hearing a fundamental of the pitch, and if it's even the slightest bit out of tune, our ear will pick it up really, really quickly. Whereas if the strings have a nice shimmer to them, all those overtones sound pleasing to our ear, and they sort of average out the tuning, if that makes any sense. So number 1 and number 2 is make sure your guitar is well tuned and make sure your strings are relatively new so that they sound full and alive. Number 3, and this is something we learn when we first start playing guitar, and it has to do with where we fret the note. So if, let's say I'm playing the D note on the 2nd string, 3rd fret, I want to use the meaty part of my finger, right? And I want to fret the note close as I can to the bar. Not the bar at the bottom, but the bar right at the end of the fret. Listen to the pitch. If I fret the note down here, notice as I slide it up, it really changes. Okay? Fret near the bar with the meaty part of your finger, which might mean you might have to correct some bad habits that you have developed without realizing it. Fret near the bar. Not out in the middle and not at the bar below the note you want, but right up at the end of the fret at the bar, at the note that you want. that will help your tone. Now with chords, you can't always do that. It's impossible. But be aware of the fact that the tone is weaker further away from the bar. You almost want to, if you slide up, you'll feel your finger kind of lock into that crevice in there. And that's where your best tone is going to be. So whenever you can adjust for that, keep that in mind. Be listening for that. Listen to the difference in the tone. If you can hear the difference, then your playing will adjust and your tone will improve. Number 4, be aware of the fact that if you fret a note too hard, you push down too hard, you're going to throw the pitch of the note sharp. Let me see if I can show you that with the tuner. So here I am. I'm playing a D, right? Watch if I press down hard. Can you hear that? It's very subtle. Now, if your guitar's not properly set up, that will be even more pronounced. But you don't want to push down too hard. You hear that? I'm playing a G chord, right? I can almost make it sound out of tune just by pressing down harder than is necessary. D chord, watch. Or listen, I should say. Now I'm going to press down hard. And I'm going to relax. Press down hard. Relax. When I relax, obviously you want ample pressure to keep that tone full and nice, but you don't want to squeeze like your life depends on it. It's going to throw the pitch out of whack, and it's going to hurt your tone. Somewhat related to that is, don't accidentally be bending notes. You might not realize it, but you grab a chord and you're sloppy and you bend it, it's going to affect your tone. Okay? Seems obvious maybe to you, but these are things that we tend to do without realizing we're doing it. Let's go over to the right hand. Okay, so for the right hand, a few things to be aware of. Things you might already know, but maybe you're not paying attention to. For one, where we pick, in terms of how far we are from the bridge or to the neck, is going to control the tone. Over here, we're going to get a more mellow tone, and the strings are going to have a little more wobble. As we move back, so I'm not say one is right and one is wrong, but be aware that those differences in tone exist. So if I'm playing a single note, I can control the tone of the note by where I pick. Also, let's say I'm strumming. I will always tend to use a thinner pick. I like these Fender 0.5 millimeter. They're very, very thin. If I'm doing something with heavy strumming, right? I like a lighter pick. I feel like it doesn't sound as percussive and as harsh. This pick is slightly heavier. Now, I don't know if that's coming across. And it's a matter of taste. Maybe you like the heavier pick. It's just a matter of being aware that these things will affect the tone. And another thing, and this is just a personal preference, I just tend to feel like I just don't particularly like when people bash an acoustic guitar. there's a dynamic range, and once you pass that point of no return, the guitar just starts to sound pushed, and it just, to me, doesn't sound very attractive. That being said, with good technique, you can tease quite a bit of volume, quite a bit of dynamics out of a guitar. From very soft, the angle of the pick will affect your tone. Okay? Hopefully these 5 tips help. I know there's a lot of nuances and subtleties to the things that I talked about, and they may seem obvious, but if you really pick them apart, I think you'll find that you can improve your tone by paying closer attention to these simple concepts. Thanks so much, and if you like this video, please subscribe. This is a new channel to me. I'm trying my best to put out good content, and feel free to make some suggestions, because I am here to grow and learn like the rest of us. Anyway, have a good one. I'm Frank Persico, and I'll see you soon.